Bernstein Show. Now here's Ed with his guest, the longest-running Las Vegas headliner, Frank Marino.
All right, before we get to our guest today, I did want to mention that my wife, Claudia Noriega Bernstein, came out this week with her 5th anniversary edition of Brighter Days, the 88 most important lessons learned in life for women who want to increase their confidence, resilience, and courage. It's great tips and lessons, 88 personal lessons that she experienced that will help you incredibly. You can go to her website, brighterdaysthebook.com, and check it out. Speaking of books, my next guest, Frank Marino, you're an author.
Yeah, yes.
Right? Among other things.
Yes.
What were those books about?
Well, I have 2 on my life. So the first book is my first 20 years here in Vegas, and that book is His Majesty the Queen. And the last 20 years, because it's our 40-year anniversary now, is Drags to Riches.
Drags to Riches.
Drags to
very,
Riches.
very, very clever. Very, very clever. 40 years. I mean, this is going to be a big year for you. You're going to be busy this year. You got a lot of dates coming up, and you have some residences at the Virgin Hotel. A weekend coming up with 40th anniversary weekend, right?
Yes.
What is going to be different for you this year, since it's celebrating 40 years? And by the way, you're like the longest running headliner in Las Vegas.
Yeah, continuously going. Yeah. The show's going to be different because I have a lot of people from the past coming in. We're going to have special numbers in the show. I'm going to actually perform a number, which I never do. I usually do the comedy and all the, the costume changes and everything like that, but never did a singing number. I'm going to do it.
So how does that happen? I mean,
I just say...
Are you taking lessons, or how does that
No,
work?
I just want to challenge myself. I always knew I could do it. I just preferred the comedy side of it. So I watch everybody else doing the singing and the performing, and I just wanted to try it and say, I should know what that's like, so I could have, an idea of what they're doing and going through and feeling at the time that they're performing.
So do you get nervous? Are you nervous thinking about it?
I get nervous every single show. Okay, and people go, how? It's 40 years. And then I read something that says, if you do get a little bit nervous before you do something you're even used to doing, it's because you really care about what's happening.
Well, it's also a good thing, right? To get that adrenaline going and not be too casual about what's happening.
Right before the show, I'm like looking at my notes, making sure I put the joke in the right spot. Because the same joke could work really good in one spot, not so good in a spot where it didn't belong. So I try to work it out, and it's all trial and error. You're never going to know till you actually do it. So I just do it, and I cross my fingers that I did it right and pray that they laugh. And if all 3 of those things happen in unison, I know I got a good joke.
I was listening to a special that we were talking before the show about Barry Manilow. And I was listening to a special that he did, and he was talking about, because he's been around quite a long time as well.
Right.
And he was asked, what's important to you when you're performing? What are you thinking about? He said, I'm really looking at my audience. And I'm making contact with my audience, and I see in their eyes the effect of what my music is doing to them.
Yeah.
And it just inspires me and gets me going. And that's what I'm focusing on. What do you focus on?
Same thing. I start my monologue, and I do a lot of political humor. So I just navigate myself in the middle. It's not my place to sell you another point of view if you're not on the same page as I am. But I do see hypocrisy on both sides. So I have no problem, teasing about, and I use the word teasing, I never put anybody down, but I tease about both sides, and I see where they're going. So if I see they're going more for that kind of a joke, I stick to that side, and vice versa. But it's you're driving on a cliff, and you try not to fall off.
Yeah. Can we talk about that for a moment, the political stuff? Because it's no secret, you've been an openly gay entertainer for a number of years. There's been times when you began, I'm sure, that was very difficult for you, breaking into a business and doing drag shows. And then seemed to me, this is my thoughts, that there was a period of time that seemed like, oh, no big deal, it's kind of accepted, not a problem. And now it seems like the pendulum is swinging differently.
And I'm not unique anymore. And I kind of don't like that. When I first opened, it was, you couldn't see drag everywhere you went, right? Most people come to Vegas to do their naughty little thing. They'd go see a strip show or a drag show, and something that probably they didn't have back home, okay? But now casinos are everywhere, so the entertainment has expanded as well. But I had my little niche, and I loved my little niche, and I always let people know I'm not selling a lifestyle, I'm selling a form of entertainment. And just like Mrs. Doubtfire and Tootsie and, you know, all those movies, these big stars, Patrick Swayze did the 1, 2, Wong Fu. Just like they do, I'm putting on a costume, doing my thing. I'm not, you know, selling a lifestyle. I'm just doing me.
Right.
Now, it's like a very average, like, oh, I love drag shows. Like it'd be like you come here and go, I love a magic show. Now people go, I love drag shows. I'm drag show because I'm not the only show of drag anymore.
Right. But it seems politically the climate has changed. In addition, I know there's a lot more competition.
Yeah.
And there's more normalized at one level. But it seems like, you know, and there was a set of laws that were passed to, you know, protect these type of interests. And it seems like now there's a movement to go the other way.
Okay, so what people ask me politically is like, can you work in Florida? Because aren't there laws against that? Yeah. Florida's my best place to work, okay? And what Governor DeSantis, the laws that he was trying to get over were, he didn't want these, brunches are very big right now. The drag queen brunches, okay? So they do drag shows in places where they could have dinner. Instead of like we used to have supper shows in the older days, they have these brunches. But people were coming out in the afternoon with like pasties on, and it got a little bit sexual. And then they saw children in the audience. Now, I would never take my child to a strip show, male or female, and I would never take my child to a drag show either. So it is, in my opinion, an adult form of entertainment. So I don't believe the child should be there either until they're a certain age. And at that point, you know, let them come. And but again, my show is so pretty much clean that it doesn't really matter. Like Perez Hilton took his daughter to the show, and oh my God, they all went crazy. But it was like, she loves Beyonce and she loves Mariah Carey. So I took her to see that character, and she enjoyed it, and she looked at it through a child's eyes, where sometimes as adults we try to make it more than it is, and there would be no reason she couldn't come see somebody performing as Beyonce or Mariah Carey.
And you do all those.
Yeah, in my show we have them all. I do.
Beyonce, Mariah Carey, Joan Rivers.
Yeah, so we have something for everybody. We go from Lizzo to Cher. You know, so if you don't like, and there's 17 acts in the show, so if you don't like this one, in 2 minutes you're going to see another one. I'm going to come out in another gown, a beautiful Bob Mackie gown, and present the next act.
So let me ask you a question. I was watching this last week, the MTV Video Awards. Mariah Carey was on. Doesn't quite look the same as she used to.
As we remember her.
As we remember her. But when you do her, you're doing her as we remember her. Right?
We do her as you remember her.
Right.
Like Cher will always be in the big curly hair and that thong outfit that she wears, you know, because it's so recognizable.
Right. So when, unlike, because like there's people who would do like Elvis at different stages of his life, right?
Yes.
So do you see
So he
that?
was gone. So you could take a character like Elvis and do gold jacket Elvis, white jumpsuit Elvis, you know, and move along the spectrum with that, going that way. Yeah. And we could do that with other characters. But if you're going to have a Judy Garland in the show, you're going to have to go over the rainbow. You just can't get her. Liza Minnelli is going to have to do New York, you know, or Cabaret even. So you just try to go with the most recognizable. Cher's is the turn back time with the thong. So that's why I brought that one.
Speaking of Judy Garland, have you plans to go see The Wizard of Oz?
I booked it already. I'm going on Thanksgiving. It looks amazing. So I try not to look at it online because I see a lot of clips, but yeah.
Yeah.
Have you been yet?
I'm going, when am I going? Saturday.
Okay, I hear amazing things, so I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I want to ask you about Joan Rivers.
Go.
It has become your most famous, right? I don't know what was the word? Impersonation?
Yeah, impersonation.
Yeah. And you're remarkable in the way you look, the way you talk, the comedy. It's. I mean, you've kept her alive.
Yeah.
But there is an end game to that. I mean, there is an end game to most of these comedians, right? Unlike, I mean, look, there's certain people like Sinatra and
they will
Elvis,
live forever. Elvis,
forever. You know,
Marilyn Monroe.
Yes. I don't think Joan Rivers
is
will.
That person.
Right. I mean, maybe you got another 10,
I
20
felt
years,
that while she was
right?
alive. Yes.
Yeah.
So early on in the career, well, first of all, I just wanted to let you know, the way I started was I was impersonating Joan Rivers. We had an agent who was putting me in weddings and bar mitzvahs, and people would hire lookalikes for parties. And when she was performing in Atlantic City, I went backstage to see her. She was very nice. She let me backstage, and they were producers for the show La Cage, which is when I first got here, we opened. That being said, I got here 2 years later, Joan Rivers sued me for $5 million. I got a little too close for comfort. She was playing Caesars, I was playing the Riviera. Then we became friends again. I did all her shows. And she said to me, she said, what would you do if I died? I made a joke. I said I would join Legends at Concert, which I ended up working with them for a while. And so it just all went full circle. But I knew that it wouldn't last forever. So I started just creating myself. So now I do Frank Marino's persona of Joan Rivers, but I do myself. I don't really even do Joan anymore, but since I'm from New York, it's very Joan-esque. Right. It's just my material. Because when she sued me, it was over using stuff she had on an album. The best thing could have happened, because then I had to learn how to write a joke. I was a 17-year-old kid going, but I'm an impersonator. I'm not a comedian. I can't put a Diana Ross impersonator and sing a Cher song, so I have to do Joan Rivers. I don't have to do Joan Rivers jokes. I do Joan Rivers-esque jokes. So it actually helped me. So I was very grateful for that lawsuit later on in life.
How was the lawsuit resolved?
I won. She got to copyright Can We Talk? But even though that's all she could copyright, I realized it wasn't right. I wasn't a comedian. I didn't know that comedians don't use other comedians' jokes, but I learned very quickly. And all these comedians jumped in and said, hey, here's this funny joke. I can't use it. You could have it. Because they were mad at her for suing me. She had just left Johnny Carson, so everybody was mad at Joan. So everybody tried to help me just to get on the bandwagon. And it was nice that they did that, but I was very happy to make friends with Joan again. And I hate to do my age again. I was doing a special with Milton Berle. She literally called me, right? And she's like, I want to hear the entire monologue. And I, out of respect, I gave her the whole monologue. And then we became friends again.
How is she as a friend, by the way? Is she? I mean, is she hilarious in having lunch with her?
She's like Lucille Ball. She's very serious, very, very serious when she's not on the stage. And I got to say, I think a lot of comedians have to be very smart. You have to be very knowledgeable in lots of areas. You got to be knowledgeable politically, whatever the trends are of the day, geography. You know, if you're talking about going to different places, so. And Joan was very smart, and I don't know if people know, she was summa cum laude, is that how they say it? Of her school. I mean...
Yeah, and she's very, you got to be very quick on your feet,
very quick. And now, looking back at old clips, she's even better than I thought she was when I see her.
You've also been, you're very open about a lot of things in your life. You've been open about being gay. You've also been open about plastic surgery. Joan Rivers died having plastic surgery. Did that change your mind at all?
Anytime I do something where it involves anesthesia, I get nervous. I have no fear. I've done operations, but the first thing I did was my nose job when I was a kid because I just didn't like my nose. And my whole neighborhood in Long Island, New York was Jewish and Italian. And I remember the Easter break we'd get off and everybody come back with a Band-Aid on their nose. So long story short, that was the first thing I did. And then the doctor said to me, maybe it wasn't your nose was so big, maybe your chin is small. And my parents were like, no, you did the nose. When you're 18, you do what you want. So at 18 that day, I ran in, I did my chin. But there's like no pain. For me, it's no pain. I've been very lucky. I'm not selling it to somebody, but if I could fix something that I don't like, I fix it for me. I don't fix it for anybody else.
So when you're doing it, when you're making that kind of change, even getting like something surfacey, like Botox or something like that, do you have any fear? I mean, if you change the way you look, does it change the makeup of the character? And what are you changing the Frank Marino face, or are you changing one of the? That's the best question
I've ever gotten from an interviewer. I'm changing the Frank Marino face. I will worry about the Joan Rivers face later. I hate to say this, but I've never really painted a Joan Rivers face. They call it painting, putting on the makeup. I just do what I think looks good. Put on the Joan Rivers hairstyle, wig, and the Joan Rivers costume, and then I perform as Joan Rivers. But never would say Joan has bigger eyes or larger cheekbones or whatever. I never did that. I create all that with makeup.
Okay. We have a little video of what you do. Let's take a look at that.
Frank Marino's Divas, Drag and Drinks is Las Vegas's only celebrity female impersonation review. Starring Las Vegas icon Frank Marino as Joan Rivers. You'll see superstars like Cher, Rihanna, Britney Spears, Lizzo, Liza Minnelli, Beyonce, and many more. Come party this weekend with Frank Marino's Divas, Drag and Drinks, exclusively at Virgin Hotels Las Vegas.
We're back with Frank Marino. Boy, that show looks amazing.
It's a lot of fun. It's a party. I think that's what made the show last so long. I think it's a party, and I think people could just come for a good time, whether it be a bachelor party or, when you live in Vegas, you get all the company. You're like the best cousin and everything. Yeah. So when people come to Vegas, it's a show going, you're going to love this. Just trust me. It's one of those things. And I love when they drag the husband in, because at first he might be like, oh, I don't know if it's my thing. But when they come in and I see at the middle of the show, they're like, oh my God. Especially like when Britney Spears comes on or something like that. Like, how did they do it? And they'll ask me and I'm like, I don't even know how they do it. So
I assume it takes a long time for you to prepare, to put the makeup on, the gown, the hair. You get tired of doing that?
No, years ago, maybe I would have said yes, but now it's just second nature. So it's very easy for me to do that part of it.
What is your routine to do that?
To get ready for a show?
Yeah, get ready for a show. You're home, you have a show in a couple hours.
All right, let's say I'm on the road, because that would be more work. If I'm on the road, so I'll pick the costumes that we're going to wear. And like I said, I change 17 times per show. So everything has its own shoes, its own jewelry, its own everything. So everything's laid out, because I'm now going to wear those 70 costumes. I fit them into my lineup. This is before Cher. Because some of the jokes I come out with, I have prepared for the next act. So I know after certain things, like Cher comes out in the thong, and I come out and go, even I don't know where she puts it, right? And I make a joke. So I got to make sure the outfit that I'm talking about coincides with that. And then I have the show order has to go dancer, no dancer, dancer, no dancer, so the dancers have time to change as well. So people just see a show and they think it happened, but every day it's evolving, because if you called in sick or something, I have to change the whole show. So it's the preparing, it's the writing, the monologues, seeing what was up to date every day. Okay, this is trending in the news, let me talk about that. And then praying that the joke works, like we spoke about earlier. And the harder part is getting out of the makeup. Show ends, you're in a big high, and now you have to pack everything up, and then you have to take the makeup off. It takes me an hour to put it on, it takes me an hour and a half to take it off.
Oh.
Because we have wax and putty, it's all the theater makeup.
Wow. I never would have expected it takes more time to take it off than
right?
Put
That's
it on.
An interesting tidbit.
So is it like, I know when I go, my wife and I go away on a trip, she takes all her outfits and puts them combines. This is Sunday, this is Monday, this is Tuesday. As you were laying out your gowns, is that the way you pack as well?
Yeah, okay. So when we go away, I pack for myself that way.
Right.
I have to know what I'm wearing every day. Well, people like to just do a whole bunch and pick what they choose when they get there.
Right.
No, I need to know every day. And for the show, it's literal torture packing, because I keep changing my mind. And the suitcase, like you said, it's crazy. Now with the suitcases, they only let you have like a little thing. So I have like 9 extra pieces. So they're like, oh, crazy. Matter of fact, at the airport, I'm the one that does, when they show you what you're allowed not to do and the celebrities do it. I have this thing with a wheelie with like 1,000 suitcases that they made for me to do the thing. And that's what I get to do.
Yeah, it's very cute.
Yeah.
You ever lose your luggage?
Yes.
You lose your gowns?
On the way to a show, yes. Yeah. Somebody had the same looking luggage, if you could imagine. Because my luggage is a little over the top. Yeah. But they took our show costumes by mistake.
Right.
And I was like, we're playing Atlantic City. I'm like, there's no show. I was petrified. That's probably the scariest I've ever felt on my way to a show. But the airline got it back for me, thank God.
In time. But it stressed you the hell out.
I was crazy.
Yeah. How did you get into this line of work? And when is the first?
So initially,
you were doing this as a child.
Yeah. Okay. So Long Island, New York, where I grew up, everybody was either a lawyer or a doctor.
Where in Long Island? Where did you grow up?
Oceanside.
Okay.
So I was thinking I want to be a doctor, but I wasn't as smart as the kids that were going. I had to study. A lot of my friends just got it. I really, and I was like, I was going through it. I was still in my 4 years of college, and I was working as a junior pharmacist. Back then, you had to count the pills yourself. You had no machines, everything. So I was working as a junior pharmacist, and these big pharmacies have the makeup counters in the front.
Right.
Well, like you said, being a gay guy at 16, 17, I was like, oh, show me about that. And I just was very interested. And I learned how to do the different makeups and stuff, you know, the way they would teach the rep that would be behind the counter. And for Halloween, I dressed up as my idol, Diana Ross. Realized, well, Frank, you're not black and you can't sing, so you better figure out what white comedian you're going to do. And at the time, it was Phyllis Diller and Joan Rivers. And I chose Joan because of the glamour.
Was your family supportive?
At first, I didn't tell them. At first, I was like sneaking around doing these weddings and bar mitzvahs and stuff like that. And it wasn't until I got the job in Vegas that it was like a little bit like, yeah, I got to tell them.
Right.
And I told them, and they were very supportive. They were wondering where all this money was coming from, because I remember going to school, I was getting $150 an hour, which in the 80s was crazy, right? Crazy money. And they thought I was selling drugs. Never said anything, but there was their big fear. And when I told them, they're like,
oh,
listen, that's a better, yeah, we took the lesser of two evils.
Unbelievable. And over this 40 years, I mean, when you started, there were other drag shows in town. Kenny Kerr was
who I love. He's one of my idols.
He's still around? Or?
He passed away,
Oh.
But he definitely was the major inspiration for me. I also love RuPaul, his style, everything like that.
Right.
But you know, you take a little bit from everybody and you create yourself, and that's what I did with the Kenny Kerr. I did that a lot.
Recently, there's been a lot of criticism of Las Vegas, how we're pricing ourselves out of the market. When you started 40 years ago, and I remember, I was here, we had dinner shows, you alluded to that. It was, you know, shrimp cocktails were 50 cents, right, downtown.
Right, steak and eggs for $1.
Yeah, the shows were reasonable.
Yes.
Tickets.
My first show, Ed, $6.95, and you got a prime rib dinner, La Cage at the Riviera. 1985.
Can't beat that. And it was decent, right?
It was amazing, yes.
Yeah. Not that way anymore.
Not that way anymore.
What are you noticing about the changes? What are some of your thoughts?
So before I got to the Virgin, I would see hotels charging like for parking and for this and for that. Now for the locals, it's kind of hard. Even if I comped you into my show as my guest, you would still have to pay that parking. That's why I love the Virgin. The Virgin is so local friendly that people come in and they have a great time and they didn't have to break the bank, and they could come back next week and maybe they're going to use the restaurant that they saw that looked really good, or rent a room and have a staycation and use that beautiful pool. I mean, it's a whole different experience at the Virgin for me than it was in any other hotel. I literally had one hotel, I won't say the name because I don't want to put them down, but they said, we don't really want the local business. But just like I said earlier, if you live in Las Vegas, you become the favorite person in the family because they want to use you as a place to stay. And then you become the mouthpiece of, you should go see this, you should go see that. So you're losing a lot of tourists too that you don't realize it, because they don't want to spend the money either. If they're here and they're using our cars to go to the Strip, they don't want to pay $50 to park. And unfortunately, that's one of the major problems. And nickel and diming for every other thing.
Yeah. But you're right about the Virgin. Easy to get in and out of. And we had dinner there at the one steakhouse last week. It's delicious. Yeah.
Loved it. Even
Michael
this,
Morton's.
after the chicken, I don't know how I fit in my gowns. Their chicken wings there. Cliff, the president, laughs because every time we go, he's like, you want chicken wings again? And they turned me on to Nobu. I know all you fancy people love the Nobu. I never got to go, and now I know why y'all going, because that's another great one.
Yeah. Now you understand miso cod.
Yeah.
But what do you do to stay in shape?
I don't exercise, so if you ever see me running, shoot whatever's chasing me, please. But I do pool workout every day. Even in the winter, I bought one of those SeaWorld wetsuits and do my stretches, and I do a light workout, which just makes me feel better, you know?
Yeah.
Before I started doing that, like 4 years ago, I would get like my arm, shoulder, elbow, whatever, you know? I haven't had anything. I've been very lucky.
Yeah, I mean, they say swimming is the safest of all the exercises, right? You don't have to worry about knee and hip problems later on. How about the city itself? Outside the price to get into places, the entertainment scene seems it's significantly different. Starting from, you know, when I got here, there are lounge shows.
Yes.
Today things are happening at the Sphere.
Yes.
It's a big difference.
Yes. When I first got here, there was like less than 100 shows. Now there's over 300. And I got to say, I feel very blessed. I'm number 3 on TripAdvisor out of every show in the city. Wow. So bigger's not always better is what I'm saying. But it goes in cycles. If you remember, first it was all production shows, like when I got here. Mm-hmm. Then it turned into a lot of magic shows. Then it turned into, I remember, a lot of comedy houses all over. Then the Cirque Invasion, they took over. Mm-hmm. Lately, it's been the big superstars, the Lady Gagas, the Cher, stuff like that. So I do see it evolving. The shows have gotten so outrageous as well in price. I remember my friend Siegfried and Roy, before they passed, they were the first $100 ticket. And I was like, $100? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's changed in that matter. And it's also very difficult because I remember doing my shows at the time at the Riviera. Then maybe later we'd go across the street for dinner at the Stardust. And maybe we'd go to Desert Inn and see a lounge act there. Remember Cookie Jar?
Cookie Jar?
He was very famous lounge act here for years. And you can't get from one hotel to another hotel that easily anymore. Even if you walk, when you got to go up the bridge and across the street. For me, it's a little too much work. And I'm sure other people feel the same way. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Hey, we got about a minute left. Anything else I didn't cover you want to chat about?
No, I just love seeing a friend, that's been here just as long. And it's been great knowing you all these years. And
But you've kept all your hair.
I want to say thank you to Vegas, too. I mean, they gave me a lot of great accolades. I have 2 stars on the Walk of Fame.
Right.
They gave me a street named after myself. A few great things like that. So, and they're changing the light bulb sign, the Las Vegas sign next week for me. They're making it ruby for the 40-year anniversary. They're going to change out all the bulbs.
How nice.
If anybody wants to come, 8:30 in the morning on Thursday.
Okay, Frank Marino. Hey, you can see him at the Virgin Hotel Casino. No free parking, no parking fees. And by the way, if you have a chance, once again, Claudia Noriega Bernstein, the 88 most important lessons learned in life for women who want to increase their confidence, resilience, and courage. Catch it today on the Brighter Days, BritterDaysTheBook.com.